Hello lovely students and welcome back to English with Lucy. Today we're talking about British humour. It's one of my favourite topics and it also happens to be a huge part of our culture, but it can sometimes be really tricky to understand. Today I'm going to explain the main types of British humour. I'm going to give you lots of funny examples, funny in my opinion, and I'll teach you some of the phrases that you can use. I have also created a free PDF that goes along with this lesson to take your British humour skills even further. I've included lots more jokes and puns, and I've even included an interactive quiz so that you can test your understanding of our puns to see if you would understand British humour in real life. It's free to download. Just click on the link in the description box or scan that little QR code there. Enter your name and your email address and the PDF will arrive directly in your inbox. After that, you've joined my PDF club. You will automatically receive my free weekly lesson PDFs alongside all of my news, course updates and offers. It's a free service and you can unsubscribe at any time. Okay, let's get to the jokes. First up, we have irony. So irony is when something happens that's the exact opposite of what you'd expect. For example, if an astronomer were afraid of the dark, that would be irony. Or if an absolutely huge dog were called tiny, that would be irony. There are actually a few different types of irony. First, we have verbal irony, and this occurs when someone says the opposite of what they actually mean. Like saying to a friend who just tripped and fell, well, that was graceful. Or asking the person who fell, did you have a nice trip? Trip here has two meanings. A trip can be a journey to a place and back again, or it can be when you fall over. Next, we have situational irony, and this arises when the outcome of a situation is entirely different from what was expected. For instance, a fire station catching fire would be a classic case of situational irony. And we also have dramatic irony, and this is often used in literature and film. It happens when the audience knows something that the characters do not. Think of Romeo and Juliet. The audience knows that Juliet is sleeping while Romeo, on the other hand, does not. Here's a quick example so you can get a taste of irony in action.
And here we are, reporting live from sunny Brighton, where it is just perfect barbecue weather.
Next, we have sarcasm. And sarcasm is when you say the opposite of what you mean to mock or make fun of something or someone. We Brits are famous for our dry sarcasm, and it's often difficult to tell if someone is being genuine or sarcastic. I have made that mistake so many times. Sarcasm can be tricky to master, especially for English learners, because it relies heavily on tone of voice, facial expressions, and context. And sometimes in Britain, we are so dry, we don't really move our faces that much. For instance, if you were to say, "Oh, fantastic, I've just spilt coffee all over my new shirt," that would be a clear example of sarcasm. Here's another example. Listen to this audio clip.
"And this is my associate, Mr. Green."
Ah, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Green. I've definitely heard your name come up from time to time.
Probably. It's quite a common colour.
Now, if you come across a bit too serious and someone doesn't get your sarcasm, you can say something like, "I'm being sarcastic." You can usually spot sarcasm by listening for a mismatch between someone's voice and their words, their tone of voice and their words. If someone says something positive, but their tone is negative or flat, they're probably being sarcastic. Now, using sarcasm and other types of British English humour is quite hard to do. It's hard to find a good place. One safe educational space is LanguaTalk. This is an online tutor platform that connects language learners with professional tutors for live one-on-one lessons via video chat. It's a platform I loved so much I decided to become a part of it. So I guess you could say I'm sponsoring myself here. I'm learning Italian this way and my husband Will is learning Spanish, and we love that we can take risks and try to be funny in a safe space, and our tutors are pretty honest with us and tell us if we are nailing it or not. I think it could help you in English, and I have a really nice offer for you. You can take a free trial class and get $10 in lesson credit for free. The link and information are in the description box. Just message the support team with the code HUMOR10 after making your first lesson purchase. Okay, let's move on to self-deprecation. Self-deprecation is when you make jokes about yourself and your own faults, and British people seem to do this a lot. We don't like to boast or show off. Instead, we might say things like, I'm so bad at cooking, I could burn water, or I look like I got dressed in the dark. I even used self-deprecation at a wedding last weekend. I wore a bright pink dress, I looked like a Barbie, and someone said to me, oh, I could never wear that colour. And immediately I couldn't help it. I just responded with, neither can I. In Britain, we tend to think that making fun of yourself shows you have a good sense of humour and you don't take yourself too seriously. But I will admit, sometimes we go too far with it. It's like we can't take a compliment. However, I didn't consider I could never wear that colour to be a compliment. So I joined in. Here is a great example to listen to.
I thought being a comedian would help my dating chances. Nope, wrong. At this point, I'm thinking about creating a second Instagram account and sliding into my own DMs. Sad, really.
Okay, let's talk about wit. And this is the art of being quick, clever, and funny all at the same time. British people love witty humour, and it is the ultimate compliment if someone says you're witty. Here are a few examples of witty phrases I've heard recently. I'm not arguing, I'm just explaining why I'm right. I didn't drop my phone, I was just making sure gravity still works, and it seems like it does. To work on your wittiness, try practicing wordplay like puns, which we'll talk about shortly, and rhymes, and pay special attention to humour in everyday situations, especially in British TV shows and films. Wit is everywhere. Timing and delivery are everything. I would love if you could comment down below with some of the wittiest things you've ever heard, the wittiest lines. A couple of classic examples. Dave isn't short, he's just vertically challenged. Or, I'm not sleeping, I'm just resting my eyes. Okay, now it's time to move on to wordplay, and our first section is innuendo. This is essentially playing with the multiple meanings of words in a clever way to make people laugh or think. Innuendo is a type of wordplay that has a hidden meaning that's often rude or sexual. And you'll find innuendos everywhere in British humour, on TV, in newspapers, and even names of restaurants. Even when I was a kid, I remember hearing my neighbour walk past my dad's beautiful vegetable garden and say, I'd rather see his meat and two veg. She then saw me and was very embarrassed, but meat and two veg is an innuendo for a man's private parts. Innuendos are a huge part of British comedy. Mrs. Hartfield, if you are watching this, I still remember you talking about my father's meat and two veg. To identify innuendos, look out for phrases that seem innocent on the surface but could have a naughty double meaning. All right, let's move on to our last section, the pun, the king of wordplay. Puns are jokes that use the different possible meanings of a word or the fact that there are words that sound alike but have different meanings. They are often groan-worthy. This means very bad, boring, or embarrassing. They make you groan like, oh, that was so bad. They are groan-worthy, but we Brits love them nonetheless, even the really bad ones. You'll see a lot of puns in the names of British shops and businesses. We have a local chip shop called The Codfather, and a bakery called Bread Pit, and a greengrocer called Planet of the Grapes, which is just chef's kiss. Puns are everywhere. Listen for words or phrases that sound similar but have been used in clever or silly ways. To make puns yourself, try to think of words that sound alike but have different meanings and work them into a joke. Here's a really terrible one for you. What do you call a dinosaur with an extensive vocabulary? A thesaurus. Well, there you have it. A nice short crash course in British humour. I hope these examples helped you understand our refined style of comedy a bit better. And if you have any brilliant puns or jokes of your own, share them in the comments. I always love a good laugh. Also, remember that offer on LanguaTalk. The link and code are in the description. And don't forget to download the PDF that goes with this lesson. The link's in the description or the QR code is here. One last thing, if you enjoyed this lesson, if you're really interested in British culture, improving your pronunciation and learning English to an advanced level, I really think you might like my C1 program. We actually have an entire module in there on British humour. To find out more, visit englishwithlucy.com, and if you use the code YouTube15, you get 15% off. Don't tell anyone I told you. I will see you soon for another lesson. Bye!